Diesel for We the People News. Another little video. I'm not an attorney, nor care to be one, so this is just a learning video. I never look straight forward. Always look around me for me to be able to protect myself by any means necessary. And let's go with this.
Enlighten you with a few things, and if you'll have questions, and get a hold of me. So, hang on just a second. So anyways, this is the complaint that's been filed against you, right? United States of America versus Jonathan with an O, Owen Schroyer, and AKA Jonathan with an A, Owen Schroyer, date of birth, XXXXX. Well, that isn't you, right? You have a legal name, and you have a birth date, and neither of those are on there. I'm not saying that one of those Jonathan Owen Schroyers isn't your legal name, but what's on your driver's license? What's on your birth record? Right, that's what your legal name is, unless you've changed it. I just say you don't have a middle name, you have maybe two parts of the first name, so you're Jonathan Owen is your first name, and Schroyer is your last name, which Owen is not your middle name. Because then you never have a middle initial, which is the other thing they'd like to do. They like to call you Jonathan Owen Schroyer. Right, but the point is, this isn't really you, because you have a date of birth. It's not XXXXX. They're not talking about it. Yet they're going to want you to assume the role of Jonathan Owen Schroyer, a.k.a. Jonathan Owen Schroyer, D-O-B XXXXXX. You want to, if you'll take that office, they're happy to give it to you. And the Esquire that you're going to have, that's supposed to be your defense, or helping to defend you, isn't going to challenge this shit. So anyways, it's just the start of what's on your complaint, right? But this is your complaint. Case number 121MJ, I think that's for magistrate judges, right? 572ZMF. Right? So it's been assigned this Judge Faraki Zia M, and I've seen his name on many of these cases going on in the District of Columbia. But, so yours isn't any different than anybody else's that I've looked at in the past. I'm just going to look at yours now. Oh, by the way, right, there is no for the in the name of this court. If you go look at the name of the court, it's United States District Court, District of Columbia. Not United States District Court for the District of Columbia. So they created a new court by putting for the in the name of the court. And that's the court that you're in, but it's not the court that's under the, that would have been created, if not under the Constitution, under the Judicial Act that came after the Constitution had been ratified. So, but I want to show you a few things first, right? Let's get some proofs out of the way. So give me a second to do that. Then we'll come back and look at your complaint. However, let's start with this. Let's just start with the form itself, right? Which is an AO91 form. That's the criminal complaint that you were supposed to have been charged under. Right? And so this is a blank one that you find online when you go look it up on the government's website. You'll see here at the bottom, it has sworn to before me and signed in my presence. Right? Date, city, state, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, well, let's go and look and see what they gave you. All right, yours doesn't say that. Yours is attested to by the applicant in accordance with some requirement. These are the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedures 4.1, which we'll get into in a little bit. But my point is, well, this isn't what's on the form, right? Somebody altered the damn form. There's the number, AO91, just like the one you can find online today. But somebody has altered the form. Well, that would be making this a counterfeit form. They counterfeited a federal form. And that's, that's how she rolls in the democracy. Which, there is no democracy in the Constitution. Right? The only form of government guaranteed in the Constitution is a Republican form. And to have a Republican form of government, people need to take the proper oath of office, and the system makes sure that nobody takes that oath, so we don't have a Republican form of government. And therefore, the democracy just does as it pleases. Okay, so some of these proofs. So here's one of them. This is Title 10 of the United States Code, It's for the armed forces. Right, so you'd find it by looking up 10, right, 10, then USC, United States Code. And then Section 246 about the militia, where it says the militia of the United States consists of all able-bodied males at least 17 years of age, blah, 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 and under 45 years of age, right, except for the ones who are in the National Guard, basically, who have been made a declaration of intention to become citizens of the United States, and a female citizen of the United States or members of the National Guard. So if you consider yourself a citizen of the United States, which is the term that's used in the Constitution, the Constitution is for citizens of the United States, then you would see that according to the federal government, you're in the militia of the United States. And technically, the United States is the state, right? The United States is a nation state. And all the things we call states are really republics, which isn't the same as a state. It's a republic. Right? All these words have meanings. But the United States is a state. Right? It's a nation state. So there you go, right? You are in the militia. So nobody can say you're not in the military. Well, sure I am. It's in Title 10, United States Code, Section 246. What about that, attorney? Ask your attorney. What about this? Doesn't this put me into the military? Let's see what he has to say. Now, another thing is General Order 100, which is also called the Lieber Code, which was the instructions for the government of armies of the United States in the field. Put into action in 1863, right, after Lincoln had declared martial law in 1861 over the United States. Right, it got ratified in 1863, and this Lieber Code was issued in 1863. And it says right in it, in the second article, that martial law does not cease during the hostile occupation except by special proclamation, ordered by the Commander-in-Chief or by special mention, in the Treaty of Peace concluding the war. Well, neither of those things have ever happened since the Civil War. There was no Treaty of Peace. There's been no special proclamation. And, you could go further. It's just not the Civil War, right? World War I was the same way. They acted like they were going to have a peace treaty, but it never got ratified. So there's no peace treaty. And if you look at the name of the entity they went to war with, that's not the name on the peace treaty. So all this shit means something. If you decide to make it mean something. But if you're going to let it slide, well then, you're giving up the truth, which is your only weapon to use in your defense. So the truth is, the United States is under martial law. Right? So the constitutional government has been suspended. And the proof of that is that there's nobody who's taken an oath to satisfy the 6th article of the Constitution. Right, which says in the 6th article that the senators, representatives before mentioned, and members of the several state legislators and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall be required as a qualification of any office, public trust under the United States. Now that's what the Constitution says. Well, as soon as the Constitution was ratified, the new Congress got busy starting to pass laws. The very first law they passed is this law called, I call it 1 Stat 23, but actually its true name is an act to regulate the time and manner of administering certain oaths, which was, written into the law on June 1st, 1789 by President George Washington, in which it says that the oath or affirmation required by the 6th article of the Constitution of the United States shall be administered in the following form, to wit, I state your name, do solemnly swear or affirm I will support the Constitution of the United States. So I, Robert Allen Wertluski, full legal name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States. Period. That's the oath that satisfies the 6th article of the Constitution. Nothing else. That, right? It's the very first law written. It's a statute at large, 1 Stat 23, the very first statute at large, and all statutes at large are considered the laws of the United States. Right? You can find that in 1 USC 112, 112. So, this is how you tell if somebody is actually an officer of the United States. So, in your case, there's an FBI guy who says he was a special agent. Okay, well, let me see your oath of office. You're claiming to hold an office in the government of the United States, and you have to have taken this oath. Because this applies not just to, the federal government, it applies down to the state also. The governor, all the judges, the mayor, anybody who's going to claim a government office under the United States has to have taken this oath. And if they're claiming a government office in the territory of the United States and claiming it not to be part of the United States, well, then it's a fucking foreign government. And you don't have to answer to it. So just to show you, though, because this does apply to state officers also, soon after, I won't say soon after, but sometime after, when they wrote the United States Code, they actually took the part out about for the state offices, and they put it in United States Code. So this is Title IV now, United States Code, Section 101, where it says oath by members of legislature and officers. Every member of a state legislature and every executive and judicial officer of a state shall, before he proceeds to execute duties of his office, take an oath following form. To wit, I state your name, you solemnly swear I'll support the Constitution of the United States. Period. It doesn't matter that the state says, no, we're going to have you take a different oath. That'd be fine. Go ahead, take it. But you have to take this one too. And they're not taking it. And in fact, the oath they take, or they say, well, this is the oath they took, like to satisfy your state constitution, it's fucked up. They use a middle initial name, or they don't use exactly the wording as you find it in your constitution, or some other deviation, because the devil's in the details. They just put it, forget a jot or tittle in the details, and, well, you just made it illegal. So this, I'm just trying to show you some of the things that's going on that we're dealing with. Hang on. Okay, Treaty of Peace of 1783, right? Signed at Paris, September 3, 1783. Ratified. It's in the statutes at large, so it's the law. And then it says in the very first paragraph that in the name of the most holy and undivided Trinity, and having pleased the divine providence to dispose the hearts of the most serene and most potent King George III, by grace of God, King of Great Britain, France, and Ireland, defender of the faith, Duke of Brunswick, Arch-Treasurer and Prince-Elector of the Holy Roman Empire, and CA, and of the United States of America. He's claiming that he owns the United States of America. And you can go through here and see where they talk about the differences, right? Because here's the United States. Go a little bit further, you got United States of America again, United States of America again, then you got United States over here, United States over here. So they're definitely showing that there's these two different jurisdictions, right? That the United States is viz. These right here, with New York with a hyphen, New Jersey with a hyphen. Don't have a hyphen, it's not the United States. Right? But these, it doesn't say this is the United States of America, it says these are the United States. And yet you'll hear them always talking about the United States of America. Well, that's the thing they call the democracy. Crazy, isn't it? Okay, so you're going to be in a courtroom, and there's probably going to be a flag in there, and it's more than likely going to have gold fringe. Although I have seen occasions where there's a flag in there with no gold fringe. And even I found an occasion when I saw a picture where there's no flag at all in a courtroom. But by and large, there's almost always a gold fringe flag in a courtroom. And, you start looking around at township hall meetings or county meetings or whatever, they all have gold fringe flags. Well, that flag comes out of this manual, or this Army regulation, AR 840-10. Which, says what it says, and you can agree with the Army or disagree. But first of all, unauthorized use of official flags, guide irons, and streamers. There is no law that permits the sale, loan, or donation of flags, guide irons, and streamers to individuals or organizations not in military service, except as indicated in 1 and 2. So if they have a flag, they're supposed to be in the military service. except for one or two, and one is educational institutions, and number two is retired generals. Other than that, if they have a flag, whether it's got gold fringe or not, right? They're not in military service, or then they would have to be in military service, right? If they're in military service, because here's the thing: the military can have different levels of courts. They're not all court-martial courts. You would need to ask for a court-martial. The reason to do that is in a court-martial court, they make people swear to their their claim. And the court you're going into now, no one's going to swear to these charges against you. But in a court-martial, they have to. Okay, and I just want to show you real quick. You go to Chapter 2, right? Flag of the United States, which is the only one that matters for our purposes. And you go down here to the national flag listed below are for indoor display and for use in ceremonies and parades. For the purpose of the flag, the United States will be a rayon band or cloth, heavy white nylon, trimmed on three sides with a gold yellow fringe, 2 1/2 inches wide. And it goes on to say where they can be displayed, right? And authorization for indoor display. The flag of the United States is authorized for indoor display for each. Then it's going to list them, which means if they're not listed here, then it would be unauthorized for that flag to be displayed. So if somebody's doing it, they're violating the Army regulation. Right here, military courtrooms. Doesn't say anything about a civilian courtroom, but in a military courtroom, you can have a gold fringe flag. And by and large, you go into a courtroom, they have gold fringe flags. So, there you are. And then there's only, we should go look at that. Buzz on down here. Where was 8, I think. Yeah, where it talks about the fennels, right? There's only 4 kinds of fennels. You got a spearhead, an acorn, a ball, and then an eagle. Right? And the eagle is for presidential. So if you got, and this is the one you'll see in courtrooms, although it doesn't look like this eagle. Right? If we're saying this is the way the eagle needs to look, well, that's not the eagle you're using. But there is a bird on the top of it, and that would make it presidential. So why would the president's flag be in a court that's supposed to be under the jurisdiction of the judiciary, which is a separate branch of government? Well, simply because we're not in the judiciary as a separate branch of government. It's all part of the freaking the president as the commander-in-chief. Okay, so let's really take a quick look at your at the complaint. United States of America.
Anyway, this is Diesel for We the People News. I thought this was interesting, and it matches it up with research I've found past couple of years. So he's right on cue. Alrighty, Diesel We the People News. Bye, y'all.